Hi guys, and welcome back to Crypto Scoop FM. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, see where it is in its cycle, and the bounce that we are seeing in the market today. Is this something that should give us confidence that maybe the bottom is here and we'll see a reversal all the way to 100k, or is this yet another dead cat bounce? But that's not all I have in store for you, because I think I have finally identified the edge where, despite crypto and Bitcoin largely going down, there seems to be enormous strength. And these are projects which have true fundamentals, true business models, have figured out unique ways of creating products and delivering value to consumers in the real world. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of these products, and hopefully at the end of this video you will soon realize that there is one part of crypto which is all about gambling, but there is another way, the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger way, where you can actually be patient with your capital, allocate into projects which will change the landscape of their industries, and in that process create a lot of upside, and that upside will be captured by the token itself. So we are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of those projects, but first let's talk let's talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin really is the only thing that is the true driver of attention, of liquidity to the rest of crypto markets. So what is happening with Bitcoin? And guys, I will be honest with you. When the price of Bitcoin, when the price of Bitcoin kind of touched these levels right here, let me just use my highlighter. Yeah, when the price of Bitcoin reached 75k or somewhere around here, I was kind of worried, because if you look at the chart right now, and if I draw a trend line all the way from the bottom, let me just make a trend line for you guys. So yeah, if I make a trend line which touches all the way, all these points from the bottom, right, you will see like all the way from here, and so there you go, right? So we broke this, right? And when it broke this multi-year timeline, it was clear that a trend was broken. And when the trend was broken, you can see that you don't need too much of too much of a sell pressure. Like, the selling pressure wasn't really crazy here, right? But despite that, you saw a lot of dump, and that was because, and I think Rand spoke about this as well on Crypto Banter. Ben Cohen also spoke about this, that there is probably the October 10th liquidations, plus the MSA news that they're planning to remove MicroStrategy from all the indices, which will suddenly turn off the taps from all index funds, is caused some kind of a panic, or a change in the approach of smart money in how they want to allocate capital. So in my opinion, the thing to look at this on this chart is actually the volume bars, because the volume bars tells you a lot more about what's happening. So even if you look at this price appreciation, so if I draw, let me just draw this for you. So if I draw a horizontal line right here, which was the low, right? The wick low was at 80,905, right? And it has bounced off since from that low and currently sitting at 90,000. So if I measure the return from this point, we are looking at an 11% change. So 11% is not crazy for Bitcoin, right? We've seen many times in the history of this asset where volatility has led to fluctuations in the price of the asset. Another thing that you should note this time around, which is new for Bitcoin, is that OG Bitcoiners have been selling, right? We all remember the story that broke a couple of months back when an OG Bitcoiner used Galaxy Digital to dump almost $9-10 billion worth of Bitcoin. Now think about them. I mean, if you were in their shoes and finally you had an opportunity and a moment in time when there is a lot of liquidity injected from ETFs, right? You had a lot of liquidity injected from digital asset treasuries. Obviously, you would want to sell and make money, and that's exactly what they did. And then October 10th, right? Let me just make a line here so you can see. This was that day when we had a flash crash in the crypto market. And if you see, this marked the exact point when the bear market started, right? Because since this point right here, the price has, corrected almost 26.2%. So that's a big move. It has broken its trend. It's not, if I show you the simple moving averages on the weekly, right? And let me just make this. Let's look at 30 weeks first. So if you look at the 30-week average, like this is basically the point when the price kind of crashed below, and since then it has never recovered. So my point here is that even with this bounce, like we've seen a bounce here, we've seen a bounce here, this is nothing new, right? But I feel like it's going to crash at this point. And in fact, if I open the 200-week moving average, because that's another major indicator to look at. So let me just make this to 200. And if you look at the 200-week moving average and change its color as well, style, maybe I'll choose orange, right? Okay. So if you look at the 200-week, the daily chart. So if you look at the 200-week moving average, right, and you look at the history of Ethereum, there have been times in its history previously where it has dipped below the 200-week moving average. It happened here in March of 2020. It happened here, which was in June of 2022, at which time it bounced back above, but somewhere around August is when it remained below the 200-day weekly moving average from August all the way to this point, which is when the breakout finally happened, right? Which is at this point in time, 16th October 23. It did bounce around it, but this is when, after which it had a clear breakout, right? So now what's happening is it was respecting the 30-week moving average for the longest time, and now the trend line is also broken and it's trending below the 30-week moving average. If you see RSI, we are pretty much in oversold territory, right? Let me also get RSI for you. So if you look at RSI, we are in oversold territory right now, and there is generally no strong bids coming into the market. Like there is no net buyer. I mean, even if you look at the ETF flows right now on Bitcoin, right? So you can see BlackRock's iBet has bled millions of dollars for the past, ever since the beginning of November, right? So even though we have seen net buying today, which is close to $130 million, it is still not enough to offset the general decline. Plus, combine this with the news of MicroStrategy and the whole MSCI thing, I feel like it's going to be a hard challenge. So while we are seeing this bounce, I don't see anything in the chart, especially when it comes to volumes. I mean, if you look at the volumes right here, and we just hide these events on the chart. So look at this volume, guys. This is barely a candle, and on this candle you're getting this move, right? Compare this to previous candles when you did have a lot of buying activity, right? So when there is enough buying activity, you would see like big, large green candles. This one will barely do anything to bring buyers back into the market. Another thing you need to know is that the yen carry trade is now over. And because the Bank of Japan has now changed their policy and they're going to raise interest rates, with rising interest rates, the first thing that's going to happen is the price of the currency with respect to USD will change. And because of that, the yen carry trade is all but over. And because there is no cheap debt available to finance all of the markets, you can see the impact happening pretty much all across the base, right? And crypto is the first one to see that. Another thing to notice right now is if you look at the total the total market for altcoins, right? It's pretty much been ranging in this range, right? This is where it's been, going, moving between. So this price to this price, and this has been happening all the way from, June of 2024 to February 2026. So while we have seen some of the majors do some incredible runs, majority of the alt market, when priced against BTC, has failed to outperform Bitcoin. And this is also another reason that you should be highly skeptical of any of the bounces. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not talking about your favorite alt, maybe your alt did well, because what I observed this time in the market was there was performance happening in various spaces, right? So while the overall market wasn't doing quite well, right, but you still saw some of the tokens performing really, really well, like case in point would be Hype. If you look at Hype's chart, in the same period when the majority of alts had underperformance, you saw Hyperliquid go from $9 to 44. That's a 460%, 4x. You had Aster, right? Aster, when it launched, it did incredibly well in terms of its rally. Zcash has been one of the exceptions. Like, just look at Zcash, guys. Like, what a run it has had. So this is another token which has gone from almost nothing to giving you a 10x in a span of 49 days, 7 weeks. That's like less than 2 months. So there has been performance across like multiple assets, but the broad-based 0 to 1 that we saw maybe in 2017 with the first wave of ICOs, or in 2022, 21 with NFTs, or in 2024 with meme coins. We haven't seen that happen. So I don't think we're going to see that happen anytime soon. And partly because of the macro tailwinds, partly because there is not enough liquidity or buyers in the market right now betting Bitcoin. Now that brings me to the general climate. But having observed the behavior of traders on crypto Twitter, at least in the last 2 weeks, right? Ever since we kind of broke down this trend line, this barrier, there have been clear calls of utilizing this time to study and understand projects which actually have a legit business model. Now, when you look through and analyze a market or an investment opportunity from the lens of fundamentals, you will always find assets which are mispriced, because when the market goes crazy, when people lose faith in the markets, they will dump everything left, right, and center. So I want to talk about at least two projects today that are on my radar, that has got my attention, which I think you should also be aware of. So the first one that I want to show you guys is this project called Orga, right? Orgo, sorry. So what Orgo does is, and it's up 9.5% since in the last 24 hours, but let me quickly take you through what Orgo does. The first thing that you need to know about Orgo, was it was an ICM. It was an ICM launch, meaning it was launched on the Believe Internet Capital Markets on the Solana blockchain. Another thing to know about Orgo is it is also funded by Y Combinator. And what Orgo does is they have built this AI agent product which allows anyone to create a computer use AI agent. What this means is you can basically spin up an instance, train an agent to basically visualize the screen that I'm using, click on buttons, and basically execute workflows. So imagine you can create an agent which basically opens your bank account, logs in with your internet banking ID and password, opens your messaging application, copies your OTP, and logs in and makes a payment. You can create an AI agent that goes into Canva, right? Creates a new design, copies one of your previous design, learns from it, recreates the entire design from scratch, posts that on Twitter or Instagram, right? So now you can just see how many use cases computer use agents unlock. We've already seen the first versions of this through, Operator VC, which was launched by OpenAI and a bunch of others. And very recently they have also decoupled from the launchpad, so that gives them a lot of control over their own token and their destiny. They have also recently started monetizing their product, and I think it's for the developer account it's going at about $20 a month, and for startups it's going at like $99 a month. If you look at the price action right now on this token, and let me just open the chart for you guys. I think in a down market like this, guys, think about it. It has decent liquidity. I think volumes are still something to look at. But even in this market, guys, if I make a trend line all the way from the bottom, you would see it is in this constant uptrend, right? Since August of 2025. So this is a very clear signal. It is a bottom signal right here, and you can already see the reflexivity on this token, guys. Like it goes from it its first bounce gave you 216%, the next bounce gave you 120%, the one after that gave you 160% in a week, and then you had this last one which gave you almost like another 150%. So like you're printing like 150% in 1 week on this token. I think the current bounce is also very interesting. Although it's still to give me a volume confirmation, but for a project with like 300k in liquidity, almost 7 million in market cap, and building in a space with a legit product which is used by real people and backed by Y Combinator, it gives me a lot of confidence, because these are the kind of products that we've always wanted to see and own via a token, and the token gives you an opportunity to basically capture that upside. Full disclosure, the team hasn't really owned the token yet or given any details of how the utility of the product itself is captured by the token. Yet I think now that Trump has announced his interest in kind of building his own Manhattan project with AI and like going full force into it, I feel like AI tokens are going to be the first ones to see the greatest reflexivity. And if you look at the price chart of Orgo, it gives me a lot of confidence that the moment liquidity comes back, this probably is going to be one of those projects which will bounce right up, right? Even if you look at this range right here where it is trading, right, it has a lot of support at these price levels right here. So your upside, in my opinion, is also kind of tapped, right? So you're buying very close to where it has a lot of support, and so I feel like kind of DCing it into it and building a small position which is no more than like maybe 5% of your overall portfolio makes a lot of sense for a legit project like Orgo, because unlike other pumps and dumps, this is a project which is backed by founders who are in Y Combinator, backed by YC, so I'm pretty sure they've done their diligence. It has a decent community on crypto as well, so a lot of folks actually talk about Orgo, how it works, what it's doing. Computer use agents is going to be a huge market opportunity. So if they are able to, tap into the meta, the narrative is going to basically just ride this token along. So this is the first one that I want to talk about today. Another one that is catching my attention, which I think is very, very interesting, is this project called Umbra. Now, Umbra is up 28% in the last 24 hours, and I also talked about Umbra in my previous video. It is part of the MetaDAO ecosystem. If you remember, I spoke about MetaDAO in my previous video. If you have not seen my previous video, then I would highly recommend that you watch it here, because that will give you a full overview of how the MetaDAO ICO launchpad works, and through that process, how Umbra has come up in a very strong narrative in crypto right now, which is privacy. So let me tell you a little more about Umbra. In fact, I was watching a live stream on Twitter earlier today where the founder of Umbra had come. Now, the thing to know about Umbra is that it's basically a privacy solution, and the first product that they are building is basically a mobile wallet, which allows you to do private transactions, it allows you to do private swaps, and it allows you to basically send and receive capital, digital assets between wallets without leaving any, without leaving any digital fingerprints. So that's quite cool. I think a lot of people would want it. They have very clear plans in terms of, what the opportunity here is. It's the team is now working on their mobile wallet as well, and I think once the mobile wallet works, it's going to basically be very, very interesting. So they're now basically collecting early users, beta testers for this. So I would highly recommend, if you want to try the Umbra wallet, you should go to umbraprivacy.com and try it out. But overall, from a thesis perspective, I think Umbra makes a lot of sense. And the reason why I think it makes a lot of sense is because privacy is not a meme. We've already seen the performance of Zcash this cycle. I mean, Zcash has absolutely killed it. And Zcash is sitting at what? I think Zcash is sitting at multiple billions of dollars. Let's look at the Zcash FTV. So Zcash is currently trading at $8.5 billion, guys. And compare this to a project like Umbra would be unfair, I'll be honest. Zcash has a huge team. It's globally decentralized developer ecosystem. Its tokenomics resembles that of Bitcoin, and many of the Bitcoin OG whales are basically selling their Bitcoin and buying Zcash and keeping their money private, shielded behind behind zero knowledge proofs. So Umbra basically would currently sitting at 26 million, has huge upside potential if they're able to get this wallet play right, because once they do, they can build in privacy in payments. They can partner with other projects which are offering a crypto card, and you can go spend money on various vendors in the real world, and it will be completely private. Or you can basically buy and sell currencies or tokens, or trade basically, and do it all privately. So I think there is a lot of use case for a project like Umbra, and the fact that it is part of the Solana ecosystem, which is going to be the home for internet capital markets, gives me a lot of confidence that Umbra is certainly one of those projects worth betting on. So that's the second one, guys. Before I wrap up this video, I just want to go back and talk a little bit about where we are in the market right now. If you look at the stablecoin supply in the last 24 hours, you can see that a new name has propped up, which wasn't there on this list for the longest time, and that name is Monad, guys, which has seen $4 billion of stablecoin inflows in the last 24 hours. The reason this has happened is because Monad is the latest blockchain a new layer 1 which promises Solana like speed and Ethereum like decentralization combined, baked into one infrastructure solution. So it is still early days for Monad, but a lot of people are very interested in it. Me personally, guys, I'm a bit skeptical about Monad. I still wish success for them, but as you can see on the Monad chart, I think they are they did an ICO at 0.025 and they are currently trading at 0.046, so that's almost a 45% upside from where we are, right, which is quite cool to see. Let me just calculate this number for you again. So you can already see it's up like sorry, let me just calculate this from here. So if you look at the daily right here, and you can see how much it has risen, right? So I think there's something wrong with the numbers here. Let me just find another chart for you guys. So let's look at this one, right? Yeah, I think this is probably better. But yeah, I mean, I was looking at information from on Twitter where people were talking about it. So it's up 167% already, which is quite cool. And in fact, in the last like 24 hours itself, it is up about 50%. So the thing to know about Monad is it's an early project. It's VC backed. Most of the supply is locked for the longest time, but it is what it is. It's a VC cabal coin. So when you buy a cabal coin like this, you have to be extremely careful because you always have somebody who is an insider, which is dumping on your head. So I want you to stay aware because a lot of people are going to talk about Monad, are talking about Monad as the next big thing. But there was one interesting thing that did happen with Monad, right? There are things. There's a lot of things being spoken about how Binance asked for 10% supply from let me see if I can find the tweet for you. I don't know if I can. Yes, so it's like this one, right? So Monad asked for Binance asked for 10% of the circulating supply of the total supply from Monad, and Monad team rejected. And usually Binance is such a powerhouse that if a token does not list on Binance, it's very difficult for them to attract liquidity. But even in a bad market like this, without launching on Binance, through their on-chain launch first on Solana and the deep liquidity on Hyperliquid, they have been able to see price discovery on-chain. So the thing I want to tell you is that projects will launch more and more without the support of a centralized exchange. I think this is going to happen on Hyperliquid mostly, but the other places are going to be, Apex, Lighter, other decentralized perp dexes. So that's definitely a very, very hot narrative. I mean, if I just go back to Artemis, you can already see that Hyperliquid, in the last 24 hours, continues to make like crazy amount of fees. Like there is no third best, guys. So without any incentives, they have created a product which is driving a lot of attention. The future of trading is going to be on chain, and Hyperliquid is the place to be. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had a lot of fun recording it. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again on Friday. Until then, sayonara.